So next up on the chopping block for our coverage of the Summer 5 servants is going to be Summer Illya, who is a quick AoE archer, who is honestly not a bad buff for the quick meta, considering that Castoria kind of just kicked down the door of the meta and said, it's arts time, baby. As an aside, my mic should be back to normal tomorrow for like the Brynhilder upload, which I think is very fitting because Brynhilder is literally the reason I'm going to be summoning on the next banner, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Just wanted to give you guys a little update on that. But we're here to talk about Summer Illya, so make sure you leave a like on the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel for daily FGO content, and with all that good stuff out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about Summer Illya, starting off with her hits. And her deck is actually pretty good for a quick servant. She's rocking double quick cards with 4 hits apiece, 8% star gen, which isn't super great, but her NP gain is a little on the higher than average side at 0.63%, not something super insane, but with those two 4-hit quick cards and the abilities that Illya has to kind of buff up her NP gain and the efficiency of those quick cards, they're actually a lot better than they're letting on, and this is a very good base for them to be starting off with, especially because Illya also has 2 very solid arts cards backing up those quick cards with 3 hits apiece. And again, they're going to be able to take advantage of that 0.63% NP gain, and any crits that Illya might do with these cards are going to fund a lot of NP back, which crits should be fairly common with the ability for Illya to quick chain her NP with those 2 very strong quick cards and drop herself a fair bit of stars. The only bad thing is they shafted Illya by giving her the 4-hit extra attack, which you guys automatically know makes her a terrible servant. If you're sitting there scratching your head wondering why does that make her a bad servant, then you must not know that the extra attack is a composite card that gen stars NP and does big boy damage, and 5 is kind of like the golden standard, but 4 is still fine. Just why did they have to shaft Illya like this? Anyway, let's go ahead and start moving into some of her skills, and you'll notice as we go through all 3 of her skills, she kind of has the golden set of skills that every quick looping servant is going to want. And just in general, Illya is built very well as a quick looping servant. So starting off with skill 1, she's getting a 20% quick buff that lasts for 3 turns, and then increasing the star weight of her quick cards for 1 turn, while also reinforcing her critical damage with a 100% crit damage buff on a 5-turn cooldown. This is actually very good because you're going to be pairing her with Skadi, and you really want to get quick crits with Skadi because Skadi's skill gives one of her allies 100% quick crit damage, and the fact that Illya can specifically draw those stars to her quick cards means you can almost guarantee you're going to be smacking the enemy with very powerful crits. But if it happens to land on any of her other cards, they're going to get that 100% crit damage buff, and they're going to absolutely annihilate whoever is standing in her way. Do not be alarmed, by the way, by that only 20% quick buff that she has over here. She does have something on her NP to make it a little bit better, so don't freak out thinking that she only has a 20% quick buff. Now, for some people that are going to be wondering, well, if she's drawing the crit stars to her quick cards for that turn, is that going to affect her ability to loop her NP by getting those stars onto the arts cards? Because you really do want to be critting on those for maximum NP gain. Well, not only is she buffing up her quick cards, so she'll be able to loop fairly easily with them as well, she also has something on her second skill that's going to buff up the NP gain of all of her cards and make those quick crits actually really good for doing damage with Skadi and also looping her NP, because on the second skill, she's actually going to give herself 30% NP gain for 3 turns, which is absolutely insane. This is something that you see a lot of the top tier quick looping servants have. You know, people like Edmund Dantes, Lancelot, Parvati, Atalanta, all of them have something like this. So it's absolutely killer that she has it for looping her NP, but also very good for those turns that you're doing really high quick crit damage, because then you're also going to be able to maximize the amount of NP that you're going to be refunding as well. This also does come with an attack buff that buffs all children servants by 20% for 3 turns. Obviously, Illya is a child servant, so she's going to be going ahead and getting this buff, which does mean that between her first and second skill, she also double buffs herself. If you don't know what that means, basically, different buff types in FGO are actually multiplicative, not additive, and so they multiply into each other to give her even more damage, and the fact that she's able to do that for herself is going to give her some pretty decent damage. Although even with that, the values are a little low and her natural attack is on the lower side. So even with this, you're probably going to want to fish for like NP2, if not higher, for Illya if you want to make maximum use out of her. But the final thing that this skill is actually going to give her is one hit of invincibility that lasts for 3 turns. It's actually built in a very efficient way because basically if you need to pop this skill to get the NP gain or the attack buff, you're not wasting the invincibility like some of the older servants like say Jack, Jalter, or Raiko that have their survivability tied to their mana burst, their main damage skill. Illya's invincibility will still be around because it lasts for 3 turns, but unfortunately it can get wasted because it is only 1 attack. But the thought there is still very, very good. Moving on to her third skill, she gives herself a 30% battery while also further increasing her critical damage by 50% for 3 turns, and then giving herself a 70% chance to recover her own HP by 500 every turn for 5 turns on a 5-turn cooldown. This is what kind of completes the golden trifecta of quick looping servants. It's battery plus NP gain skill plus quick skill equals you can loop pretty well. The only thing that Illya is kind of lacking is that her NP1 damage is pretty bad, and so you're really going to want to fish for those higher NP copies, preferably at least 2 if not 3 and higher. But if you do decide to go for those, you will be pretty well rewarded because Illya's kit is just very, very good, because on the first skill you're getting those really big quick crit turns, but on her third skill you're getting just a really solid crit damage buff, right? You're getting 50%, which I mean, for reference, is the same crit damage skill that Waver gives. I always gotta cite that because that's a crit damage skill that everybody knows. And I mean, if you think about it, this is basically just Waver's first skill because she also gets the 30% NP gauge, which is really cool. But yeah, overall, it just makes her kit very, very solid, and it gets even better when we look at her NP because she does have Pierce Evasion, which is nice. That basically means that anybody with a dodge is not going to be escaping Illya, because it's built into her NP, which is very solid. Not quite as good as Pierce Invincibility, but still nice to, get around the enemy's dodges, as dodge is very, very common still in the game. And then you can see on her overcharge, she's giving herself anywhere from 10 to 50% of an Omni card buff, meaning she's buffing all of her quick arts and buster cards. So in practice, at bare minimum, if you have her first skill active when you fire the NP, at bare minimum, she has a 30% quick buff, which is fairly standard. And then if you can get somehow up to like overcharge 3, which shouldn't be too hard if you can like fire some NPs in front of her or use some of the overcharge skills that are becoming a little bit more common and will start to become even more common as we start getting newer releases, you can actually give her the equivalent of a quick mana burst, if not higher, if you're an absolute mad lad and you go all the way up to like overcharge 4 and 5. But overall, she's a very, very solid servant. Do I recommend going into the banners specifically for her? Probably not. In fact, if you have Atalanta, you're probably fine just keeping your Atalanta and using her as your quick AoE looping archer. But if you don't have Atalanta and you're willing to go in for like NP2 at the very least, Illya will definitely put in some work for you. And I know that in the past when she first came out, I made a meme that I was using Castoria to loop with my Summer Illya that I pulled when trying to get Brynhildr. And I mean, yeah, I guess you can do that if you're summoning on the banner for Summer Kiara and you happen to get like NP3 Illya. You could actually kind of make use of Summer Illya with like a Castoria serving as the other Scotty, funnily enough, if you want to do just some funny stuff like that. So what I'm trying to say is Summer Illya is pretty good, and you shouldn't just throw her in the garbage as soon as you get her, right? Because that's just absolutely mean. Don't be a big bully and give her a shot. But with that being said, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe for that daily FGO content. Again, my mic should be here tomorrow. For those of you guys that maybe are like curious about what the problem is, I believe the problem is that my mic plugs through USB, but my laptop that I got for this trip is a Type-C. Like all of the ports are only Type-C. So currently I'm running the USB through a Type-C converter, and I think that's messing up the actual quality of like when the mic is recording because it's having to like be converted through something. But I bought a cable that is mini USB to Type-C, and it's going to plug directly in the laptop. Should be all fine and dandy. Hopefully by tomorrow that gets delivered. So hopefully this is like the only bad audio I have to produce for you guys. And then if that doesn't work, well, it's going to be a very odd month over here on the ZTL channel. I've had some friends that were saying that like if that doesn't work out, they could try to help me like doctor the audio a little bit. So just know I'll try to figure out a way to make it work for this month as I'm on vacation. But There's nothing that's gonna stop the daily FGO grind for me, alright? You guys need your daily FGO content, and I'm gonna be the guy that provides it, alright? You guys got me over 20k, so I can't let you down at this point, right? Like, I'm not gonna let some weird vacation hurdle of my laptop not having the right port for my mic stop me from bringing you guys the content. So, with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. You guys have yourselves a nice day. Look forward to the Brynhilder video tomorrow, hopefully being better, fingers crossed. And I'm gone. Peace late, guys.